What's up YouTube? My name is Justin Lowe and welcome back to my channel, The Life of JLo. And as you can see, today is the first day that we're actually here in my at-home studio, and that's because we're filming the first episode of a new series that I like to call #JLo Talks. The more time you spend with me, the more you'll probably realize that I really do like to talk, and one of the things that I really like to do is to take the time to kind of impart the knowledge and the experiences I've had over the years on the people who are experiencing things that I've experienced in the past for the first time. So today I really wanted to share something that I wrote about last year in my newsletter, thelifeofjlo.com, and that's 5 things that I learned while in college. As a little bit of background on myself, I went to Cornell University. I graduated in May 2023, that's last year May, and I studied economics with a minor in business. While I was at Cornell, I started a newsletter in my senior year in January of 2023, and it really helped me to start to share the experience that I've had not only in college but throughout my entire life. And week over week, every Sunday at 9 a.m. I post a new story on thelifeofjlo.com, which you can subscribe to at the description below, where it's kind of just like wisdom that I've learned, experiences that I've had, lessons that I've learned over the years. And so today's story is actually going to be an excerpt from one of them, which is 5 lessons that I learned while in college. I will link the newsletter that this appeared in the description below, but the title was An Open Letter to Freshman Year Me, the 5 Biggest Lessons That I Learned in College. And they really were a reflection on if I were talking to freshman year me as a senior, somebody who's graduating last year, what would I say? What would I do differently? What would I really want to change? And how would I think differently starting Cornell? Like if I had the chance to do college over again, what could I change? Like how would I approach the situation differently, and what could I have done better in my time in college? So I'm really hoping that this video for college freshmen, maybe a sophomore, even a junior, senior who's still in college, maybe you can take some of the advice that I'm going to share with you in this video and apply it to your experience in college so that you can make the most out of the next 4 years of your life. To preface this, I'm actually going to read the first part of the letter to you so that you can kind of get a feel of where my headspace is as I'm sharing this with you. So here we go. Dear Justin, what lies ahead is hard to believe. I'll try my best to guide you through it, but there's so many things that will happen that you could never expect. A pandemic for starters, but how about studying abroad in Spain? How about interning at JP Morgan Chase and Company, or spending a summer at Berklee College of Music? Right now, I remember how you're feeling. I wish Cornell had warm weather. Well, be careful what you wish for. You're going to spend almost a whole year doing Cornell on Zoom at home in Jamaica. Today though, I'm not writing to tell you about the milestone achievements that you can track on LinkedIn or on your resume. I know right now you don't even know what LinkedIn or resume are. Freshman year me definitely didn't know that. I'm writing to tell you about the little things that you won't expect and to give you some advice from someone who's quite literally been in your shoes. Celebrate the small victories. The first thing that I want to say is we made it. Here we are on the other side of the late night studying, the 12 a.m. coffees, the stress over deadlines, the 12-page essays, the brutal intermediate microeconomics problem sets, you'll get there in sophomore year, and everything that went on outside of academics too. We persevered, cried sometimes, failed sometimes, succeeded sometimes, but above all, we finished. Everything that you'll experience in the next 4 years will mean something as you look back on it. So even if things feel rough or uncomfortable in the moment, know that those things will make the end so much sweeter. And in 1 week, I'll be celebrating the end with my family and friends, and remembering both the good times and the bad times that will make your 4 years at Cornell so memorable. So this I wrote right before I graduated from Cornell. It was like the weeks before graduation, kind of just reflecting on the past 4 years, and I wanted to put together like a reflection on how I would do things differently. So let's get right into the 5 pieces of advice that I would give to freshman year me starting at Cornell again. Right out the gate, the first thing that I want to share with any college freshman, anybody who's starting out this journey, jumping into the deep end, meeting new people, is that not everybody is going to like you, and that's completely okay. And here's the thing, they're not gonna like you, not necessarily because you're different or because you're doing things that they don't like or because you're disagreeing with them or having arguments with them. They might not like you just because of who you are, for things that you can't change, for how you look, for how you present yourself, for how you dress, for where your family came from, for things that, unreasonably sometimes that you can't change about yourself. And guess what? That's completely okay. For me, growing up, I definitely felt this feeling of, being a people pleaser, feeling like, oh, I have to try my best to not create conflict, not create tension, and just, kind of just make everybody happy. But when you get to college, you realize that in a school of like 20,000 people, there's no possible way that you're going to make everybody like you. And it's not necessarily to say, hey, let's go and cause problems with everybody, but it's to say that when you encounter somebody that your spirit doesn't take or their spirit doesn't take you, that's okay. That may not be anything that's your problem. That may not be anything that's even their problem. But at the same time, you need to recognize that if you let people's opinions of you define how you're going to lead your life, you're not going to lead a happy life. So as you move through the next 4 years of college, recognize that when you meet people that maybe they don't like you or you don't like them, it's completely okay, because you don't have to have a relationship with everybody. You don't have to even have a good relationship with everybody. It's really just about learning to appreciate other people's perspectives, understanding where you're coming from from a personal point of view, and then kind of moving forward with it and saying, hey, if we don't agree on something, that's okay. We can agree to disagree and move on. You don't have to like the other person doesn't have to like you. And at the end of the day, if you allow other people's opinions of you to define how you approach the world, you will never approach the world and achieve happiness, because you're always going to be trying to hit somebody else's standard of what it is that you should be for yourself. And at the end of the day, you should be setting your own standard for what you should be in college and beyond. In that same vein, I want to share that, the people that love you for you will love you for you. And those are the people that you should hold on to. There will be people that come and go in your life, and there will be people, for example, you might meet them in freshman year in orientation week, and you might think, these are my best friends for college. A month from now, a month from then, 3 months from then, you fall off. You don't necessarily have to feel the need to rekindle, because maybe those just weren't your people. Maybe those were the first people that you interacted with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those will be the last, nor the only people that you have to interact with in your 4 years in college. So definitely, as you meet people, as you go about creating relationships when you're in college, understand that you don't have to like everybody. You can definitely be cordial with everybody and be respectful to everybody, but you don't have to hold on to every single relationship that you build in college. Every single person that you meet will have a purpose in your life, yes, but that doesn't mean that every single person will have to stay in your life throughout college and after. The second piece of advice that I want to share with you is that your grades don't define you. And honestly, for me and for many people going into college, it was always that, hey, what's your GPA? What was your SAT score? What was your ACT score? What was your essay about even? And when you get to college, and you're gonna get classes that are gonna be hard. You're gonna get exams that you're gonna fail. You're gonna get assignments that are gonna rip your skull out and make you feel like, oh my gosh, why am I at this college? Especially if you go to an elite college like Cornell, like I did, you're gonna feel like, hey, do I even belong here? But what you have to recognize is that you do belong there. That's the first thing. But the second thing is that your grades don't really matter. You can do well on your exams, fine. Like, study hard, because obviously college is a place for you to do work, and it is a place for you to develop yourself academically. But when I looked back on my 4 years in college, I don't remember what I got on that exam. I don't remember which exam I failed before I passed. I don't remember which exam brought down my grades. I don't remember how I felt really after doing XYZ assignments and feeling bad about it, because those weren't the things that defined my college experience. While yes, they're important, those are not going to be the things that you'll remember in the 4 years, at the end of the 4 years, or beyond college. So don't prioritize too much in the moment what it is that you get on an exam, or what if you pass a class, fail a class. That's not really what's important. In that same vein, what's important is your relationships. What's important is the study sessions that you spend with the friends that you have in college, the time that you spend grabbing coffee with somebody. Like, there were lots of times in college where I definitely was like, I should study for this exam, but hey, this person wants to grab coffee, so let's just grab coffee, because guess what am I going to remember? And that really manifested for me in the final years of college, when you realize that, hey, I have 3 months, 2 months, 1 month before I'm never going to be on this campus again. And when you get to that point of the end of the 4 years, as I said, I'm reflecting on the past 4 years. When you get to that point, you realize that you have to prioritize things that matter to you. And while yes, academics are always going to be important through your college experience, and I'm not saying to not prioritize that, relationships are what's going to follow you after college. The people that I spent time with in college, the people that I spent time with studying, hanging out with, doing fun activities off campus, on campus with, in clubs, things like that, those are the people that I remember. Those are the things that I take away from college. I'm not taking away, oh, I got 98, or I got 80 on an exam, or I got 75, or I failed. I'm not taking that away. While yes, that's going to affect me at that moment in time, that's not going to be the takeaway that you're going to carry with you after college. So definitely, if you passed an exam, if you failed an exam, feel good if you passed, cry if you failed. But remember that your grades have never and will never define you. So as you go through college, do not be deterred by your grades. Definitely prioritize your relationships and think about, okay, maybe I failed, but in the past week, did I spend time with somebody that I loved? Did I spend time with somebody that I want to maintain this relationship with after college? And if you can say yes to that, your college experience would have been successful. The third and one of the most important things that I definitely learned towards the end of my college experience, and I'm still learning as an adult out of college now, is that you need to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let me say that again. Become comfortable with being uncomfortable. When I say that, I don't mean to become comfortable with just falling into spaces where you feel uncomfortable. I mean, be intentional about putting yourself in spaces where you feel uncomfortable. What does that mean? That means go to a new club. That means join something that you've never had an experience with before. That means doing things that are new to you and being a beginner at something again, because college is a place for you to learn. College is a place for you to feel like, everybody around you is learning. So make sure that you're putting yourself in places where you're able to be uncomfortable because you're learning. When you're able to do that, you realize that as you leave college and as you enter the real world, things that you want to do, they become so much more accessible, and you don't need, for example, somebody to go with you, or you don't need to be scared of doing something new because you have been uncomfortable. You've been a beginner at doing something while in college, and you've learned how to deal with the emotions of being new to something. You've learned how to deal with the emotions of being uncomfortable in a new space, so that you're able to, finally do that thing that you've wanted to do on your own, or be in a space that you might feel uncomfortable in, but that you want to be in, because you have done that in the 4 years and you've done that work in the 4 years that you're in college. To that point, and more directly to that point, I want to be clear, especially about your classes. One of the things that I've noticed, or for myself I noticed, is that I would try to take classes that I had friends in. Always. I mean, freshman year, obviously you don't really have that many friends, so you're not really sure. But as you get older and as you progress through college, you're gonna make friends in your major, make friends who are studying the same things as you, and you're gonna say, okay, what class are you taking? Let's take the class together. Let's just study together because we're doing the same thing, and it makes life easy. If you're interested in a class though, if you're interested in something that maybe your friend isn't interested in, and you don't have any friends in that class, take the class. Do not be deterred by being uncomfortable sitting in that room without any friends. Yes, there will be other people in that room and other students who will have their friend groups who are in that class, of course, but do not let that deter you from taking that class that you want to take. Just because you don't have friends in the class, if you have an interest in that, do it. And that's universal for everything that you have in college. If you have an interest in something, whether that's joining the dance squad, whether that's joining the chess club, or whether that's joining debate, anything like that, if you have an interest, do not wait on somebody else to say, okay, I'll do it with you, or do not wait to have a friend that's doing it as well, because at the end of the day, if you spend your time waiting on other people to do things with you, or you spend your time waiting to become comfortable, being made comfortable by having other people there with you, you will never be able to do the growth and have the growth that you need to actually experience things that you want to experience and do the work for yourself to have the personal growth that you can actually go out into the real world and experience new things on your own and become uncomfortable doing new things on your own. So definitely put yourself into those uncomfortable situations, whether it's a class, whether it's a club, and meet new people. Just be out there, be social, and put yourself out there into the deep end so that you can have those experiences in a safe environment like college. So when you get out of college, you have experience doing that and you feel comfortable being uncomfortable. And piece of advice number 4 is kind of in the same vein, but that is to just learn to be comfortable being alone. Let me say that again. Be comfortable being alone. And I know that sounds crazy because you're gonna be a freshman in college or a sophomore in college, and you'll be like, oh, I want to grab dinner, but I don't have anybody to grab dinner with, so I'm gonna sit in my dorm and just not eat until one of my friends is ready to eat, because I'm not going to sit in a dining hall by myself. Are you crazy? You're gonna starve yourself and wait on people because you don't want to go and eat by yourself? Listen to me. Become comfortable being alone. throughout college, you're going to have experiences where you're going to want to do something and you're not going to have somebody else that's going to want to do it with you. As I said before, whether that's going to a class, whether that's eating lunch, whether that's going to a new club, whether that's having a new experience, you need to become comfortable doing that by yourself. And let me share why. When I was in college, I was fortunate that I had like people in Jamaica at other colleges I could FaceTime and, actually just go on FaceTime, have a meal with them, or I just like call them and be like, hey, let's grab dinner together. And that's fine and that's great. But when you do things by yourself, you also learn not only how to become comfortable being uncomfortable, but you learn how to prioritize what it is that you want in life. And the only way that you become comfortable prioritizing what it is that you want in life is being able to do things by yourself. And that's because if you don't do things by yourself, you will never have unique experiences to your own interests. And that doesn't just mean eating dinner by yourself. That doesn't just mean going to a club by yourself. That means doing anything that you want to do by yourself, whether it's learning something new or whether it's just reading a book on your own. But for the most part, if you ever feel like you're going to a dining hall by yourself and people are watching you, remember that nobody is watching you. Nobody cares. Like, think about when you go to a dining hall and if you saw somebody sitting by themselves watching YouTube eating their dinner, who cares? Nobody cares. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable doing things like that by yourself. And you should become comfortable doing things like that by yourself. And I also think in that same vein, you should intentionally do things like that so that you can become comfortable doing them by yourself. So even if you have people to go and grab lunch with, even if you have people to grab a meal with or to go to a class with, still try to seek out a moment where you can say, I'm going to grab lunch by myself. I'm going to have dinner by myself. So that you can feel what it feels like to do that by yourself, so that you do not have to depend on other people. Because when you forever depend on other people, you'll find that as you leave college, you will still depend on other people. And in this life, because after college, everybody's going to scatter everywhere, it's going to become really hard for you if you're not able to do things on your own and you're always depending on other people to go with you. Go alone. Do it by yourself. For me, I'm definitely still learning that. It feels like I just went to my first concert by myself earlier this year. And that was a new experience because it was like I wanted somebody to come to the concert with me, but who was going to go and see Jacob Collier with me on a whim? I bought the ticket like 2 days before and I was like, let's go. And when you're able to do things like that by yourself and enjoy experiences on your own, you'll find that you're able to deepen your own interests because you're comfortable doing them by yourself. And here's the great part, is that when you do them by yourself, when you end up in those spaces by yourself, chances are you'll meet people in those spaces that have shared experiences and shared interests with you so that you can make more friends. And the only way you're really going to meet people that have the same interests with you is by putting yourself in those spaces where you are interested in what you're doing. And then you find people there. Of course, you'll meet people and maybe you'll have a shared interest. Maybe you'll somehow, luckily, be interested in the same movies or the same type of music or whatever. But if you really want to make friends within your interest, within your niche, quote unquote, go alone. Go alone, be social, say hey to the person next to you, and make a friend. And that comes with being uncomfortable, with being comfortable, with being uncomfortable. And the last piece of advice that I wanted to share with you, number 5, is be okay with being a beginner. Make mistakes and be okay being a beginner. And that goes for everything in college. When you are in your classes, ask stupid questions. Ask your professor, hey, why is the sky blue? Ask questions that you might think are stupid, but guess what? Chances are if you're thinking of it, other people are thinking of it too. But in that same way, be okay being a beginner at anything. So if you've never played frisbee before, go out there and throw a frisbee with somebody and learn how to do it. For me recently, I just joined a CrossFit gym last year. I had no idea how to clean and press. I had no idea how to jerk and do all these things with the bar, do like gymnastics on the bars at the CrossFit gym. But I had to become comfortable being a beginner at something so that I could learn something new. And if you're not comfortable being a beginner at something, you will never learn something new. If you're not comfortable being a beginner at something, you will never learn something new. Yes, I said that again, and that's because Oftentimes we don't realize it, but as children, maybe we have the opportunity to be put in a class by our parents to say, hey, go and learn piano, go and learn how to dance, go and learn how to like play football or something. And you started out as a beginner as a kid and you felt it was okay because everybody was just learning it. Don't lose that mentality. Don't lose that mentality of, I can still do something new. You're not locked into everything that you know right now. You're not locked into the skill set that you have. You're still in a moment and a period of your life where you're open to growth. You're still in a period of your life where you should be a beginner at things. You should be exploring your interests. You should be doing things that you are interested in that you may not have done before in the past. And that's because everybody around you is technically doing that too. Like, you might find people who of course are experts at doing whatever, but at the same time, you'll find people who are curious to learn, and you need to ensure that you are curious to put yourself in those spaces to learn. Otherwise you'll become stuck. And you don't ever want to be stuck, especially not in this period of life in college where you're supposed to be growing, you're supposed to be being uncomfortable, you're supposed to be a beginner at things so that you can learn new things. As you also, make yourself a beginner at things, what you'll find is that it's not that intimidating. You'll go to some place where you have people who are experts, say, hey, I'm a beginner, I've never done this before, ask for help. And what I've found in my own personal experience is that when you're transparent with the fact that you're here to learn, with the fact that you're new to this, the people who know will help you. The people who know will assist you to learn, because people around you, and especially within a college environment, people want you to learn. People want you to better yourself. People are motivated and inspired by the fact that you want to make yourself better at something that you're new at. So don't be afraid that, oh, you're not the best at this, so you can't do it. I didn't do this in high school, so I can't do this in college. Yes, you can. Because guess what? When you're in college, you're there to learn. You're there to learn, and people are there to help you to learn. Always remember that the people around you do want to help you. The people around you do want to see you succeed. Don't close yourself up into a box that, makes you scared of other people and makes you scared of judgment. Fine, you might feel like an idiot. You might feel like a clown, especially if you're doing something physical. But guess what? Every single person that you see doing whatever they're doing as an expert was there before. Everybody who is doing something amazingly, the people who are in the Olympics, they were once a beginner. And the only way that you will get to that place is getting onto that learning curve, getting onto the steep learning curve that it is for you to get to a place of expertise, and just taking the time to learn, taking the time to be a beginner, to fail, to make mistakes, and become comfortable making mistakes so that you can actually learn something new. And that's going to be true not only for your time in college, but even now, even after you graduate. Because for me, for example, I'm learning guitar now. I suck, but I am definitely figuring out, hey, if the only way for me to learn is to sit down and suck at it for a little bit. That's the only way. And then as you are bad at it, you'll find that over time, you will get better. As you commit to things and as you commit to learning something new and commit to being a beginner, you will advance, you will learn, you will get better. And that is the only way that you're going to learn in college. And that's something that you should take with you not only throughout the 4 years that you have in college, but after and into life as well. So there you have it. Those are the 5 things that I learned while I was in college, and the 5 things that I wanted to share with you, and know that I would have shared with freshman year me if I could do college again. So to close out, I'm actually just going to read the end of the letter that I wrote to myself. It's an open letter. As I said, the link is in the bio, in the description. You can read it. It's on thelifeofjlo.com. And it really is just a story. It's a letter to freshman year me. So take the time and read it and follow along with me if you want. So the conclusion goes, Justin, as I think about the things that have defined the best moments of college, I think about the times in which I've been intentional in facilitating my own growth. While growth will happen on its own as you experience things throughout life, if you have the mindset to facilitate that growth, you'll grow so much more exponentially. Nothing in life is perfect. Your 4 years at Cornell will surely be far from that. Yet many things in life are perfectly imperfect, and college will be just that. Everything you experience will be a lesson. And once you learn how to see the lessons and the teachable moments throughout life, you'll learn the lesson again that you took away from high school. Everything happens for a reason, and it's just for you to find the reason that everything happens. So to all of my college students watching this, congratulations on getting into college. Congratulations on being in college and for working towards your goals of getting that degree. That is commendable. That is huge. That is an accomplishment in and of itself. And I hope that as you go forward in the next 4 years, that this video was helpful and that you're able to, facilitate your own growth by being intentional about it. So until next time, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and thank you for watching another episode, or the first episode of JLo Talks. See you next time, guys.